Hello and welcome. Today we are gonna be talking about the incredible service life of the F4 Phantom. The F4 Phantom II, a legacy in disguise. In the early 1960s, the skies were changing. The demands of modern aerial combat were evolving, and the world's military powers needed a versatile and powerful fighter to dominate the skies. That's when the McDonnell Douglas F4 Phantom II was born, a fighter that would go on to become one of the most iconic and successful aircraft in military history. Birth of the Phantom. In the late 1950s, the United States Navy recognized the need for a high-performance fighter to replace the aging fleet of aircraft aboard its aircraft carriers. The Navy wanted something that could not only engage enemy aircraft, but also perform ground attack missions and provide reconnaissance. They needed a fighter that could deliver in air-to-air combat, air-to-ground missions, and more. McDonnell Douglas Aircraft Corporation, having already developed successful fighters like the F-3H Demon, took on the challenge. In 1958, they began the design of what would become the F-4 Phantom II. The goal was to create an aircraft with advanced radar, a powerful engine, and the ability to carry an impressive weapons payload. In 1960, the F-4 Phantom II made its first flight, and within a year, it was ready to begin its operational service. The Phantom's versatility, a multi-role fighter. The F-4 Phantom II was a true multi-role aircraft. Its design was sleek with a long fuselage and wide wings that gave it excellent speed and maneuverability. It could fly at speeds over 1,600 miles per hour or 2,574 kilometers per hour and had a combat radius up to 400 miles. The F-4 Phantom's versatility lay not only on its speed, but also in the variety of weapons it could carry, making it suitable for nearly every type of mission. Weapon systems. Air-to-air missiles. The Phantom was designed to carry a variety of air-to-air missiles, such as the AIM-7 Sparrow and AIM-9M Sidewinder, giving it a significant edge in combat with enemy aircraft. Bombs and rockets. For ground attack, the F-4 could carry Mark 82 bombs and Zuni rockets, as well as napalm and laser-guided bombs. Guns. The Phantom was initially equipped with an M61 Vulcan cannon, a 20mm rotary gun, but later models often had additional firepower with improved weapon systems. With its array of capabilities, the Phantom quickly became the backbone of many air forces, most notably the U.S. Navy, U.S. Air Force, and several international air forces. Versions of the F-4 Phantom II. Over the course of its life, the F-4 Phantom II underwent several upgrades and variants, each tailored to a specific mission or a requirement. The first one was the F-4A, 1960. The first version of the Phantom, the F-4A, was delivered to the U.S. Navy in 1961. It was a primarily fighter interceptor equipped with radar and radar-guided missiles for air-to-air combat. The second one was F-4B, 1961. The F-4B was the first production of the Phantom for the U.S. Navy and featured improved avionics and weaponry. It saw combat in the Vietnam War, performing both air superiority and ground attack roles. F-4C, 1963. The U.S. Air Forces, the F-4C, was a much more advanced version with better radar systems and avionics. It became famous for its role in the Vietnam War, where it served in air-to-ground combat and air-to-air combat. F4D, 1966. The F4D introduced improved avionics and a more powerful radar system. This variant was also equipped with improved bombing and targeting systems for more effective ground attack missions. The F4E, 1967. The F4E was perhaps the most iconic version, especially because it introduced an internal M61 Vulcan cannon in place of the earlier externally mounted cannon, and improved avionics for both air-to-air and air-to-ground missions. It also featured an improved cockpit with better control systems and radar capabilities, making it making it a highly effective fighter bomber. The F-4E became a primary aircraft for the U.S. Air Force during the Vietnam War and beyond. The F-4J, 1966. The F-4J was an upgraded version of the F-4B for the U.S. Navy, featuring improved engines, avionics, and a greater combat radius. The F-4S, 1977. The F-4S was another upgraded version of the F-4J with better avionics, improved engines, and structural changes to extend the Phantom's service life. This version was used by the U.S. Navy during the late stages of the Cold War. This is a special one. F-4G Wild Weasel, 1978. A special version of the F-4, the F-4G Wild Weasel, was designed for electronic warfare and anti-radiation missile suppression. It was used to neutralize enemy radar sites and missile defense systems during the Vietnam War and later in the Gulf War. F-4K and F-4M, 1968. The F-4K was the British Royal Navy's version of the Phantom with modifications for carrier operations, while the F-4M was a modified version of the F-4J for the British Royal Air Force. Both were used extensively in NATO operations. F-4EJ, 1970s. The F-4EJ was a Japanese version of the Phantom, similar to the U.S. Air Force's F-4E, with slight modifications to fit the Japanese self-defense forces' needs. Service in Vietnam and beyond. The F-4 Phantom II played a significant role during the Vietnam War, where it quickly became a workhouse for both the U.S. Navy and Air Force. It was involved in many aspects of combat, from dogfighting in the skies to bombing raids on North Vietnamese infrastructure. Over the years, the Phantom proved itself in numerous other conflicts, including the Gulf War, where its precision strike capabilities were tested and proven. The F-4's role as an air-to-ground strike fighter and electronic warfare platform remained crucial in modern combat scenarios. End of an era. As the newer aircraft like F-14 Tomcat, F-A-18 Hornet, and F-15 Eagle entered service, the F-4 Phantom gradually phased out of frontline service, but its legacy lived on. Many Phantoms were kept in service in various air forces and remained a vital part of military aviation through the 1990s and even into the 21st century. In the U.S. Air Force, Phantoms served until the mid-1990s, and even today, a few were used in special roles like training or research. Other countries such as Japan and Turkey continued to operate the F-4 in various modified roles well into the 2000s. Legacy of the F-4 Phantom II. The F-4 Phantom II was not just a fighter. It was a symbol of military innovation, versatility, and adaptability. Over its service life, the F-4 Phantom adapted to meet the changing needs of aerial combat and left it a profound mark on the history of aviation. With over 5,000 units produced, it was one of the most successful military aircraft of its time. Whether it was engaging enemy fighters over the jungles of Vietnam, supporting ground forces in the Middle East, or patrolling skies in the Cold War, the F-4 Phantom II earned its place in history as one of the most formidable aircraft ever built. Though its active service has ended, the legacy of the Phantom lives on as a testament to the incredible craftsmanship in the pilots who flew it. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.